Good evening and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV, a destination for in-depth conversations on politics, policy and governance. I'm Shafi'u Suleiman. Tonight, we'll take a look at the takeaways from and reactions that trailed President Bola Tinubu address to the joint session of the National Assembly on the sidelines of the commemoration of the annual June 12 presidential election, believed to have been won by late MKO Abiola by the military junta led by General Ibrahim Babangida in 1993. President Tinubu used the address to reflect on the struggle to entrench democracy and honor those on the front line, dead and alive, and debunk claims of promoting the idea of a one-party state. He also harps on the benefits of structural and economic reforms. But opposition political figures in the country were quick to react to the claims, which they see as sharp contrast to the current realities facing Nigerians, who they say are struggling to survive anti-people policies of the Tinubu administration. Now, to help us analyze the presidential address and what it means for Nigeria and Nigerians, is a civil rights activist, Armsfree Ajanaku. He is also the executive director, Grassroots Center for Mobilization and Civic Orientation. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Shafi'u.
But first, let's listen to the presidential address and the reactions that follow.
And constituency representation. At this point, I plead for your indulgence so that I may put a terrible rumor to bed. To those who ring the alarm that the APC is intent on a one-party state, I offer you a most personal promise. While your alarm may be as a result of their panic, it rings an error. At no time in the past, nor any instance in the present, and at no future junction, shall I view the notion of one-party state as good for Nigeria.
Democracy fails if the opposition is not allowed to have its say and to exercise its franchise. If elections do not count, if the state institutions are hijacked by one individual who also is a participant in the election. For instance, now we have APC government. When the Assembly election coming, definitely Bola Tinubu is going to be a participant. He controls the police, he controls INEC, he controls army, he controls all the security agencies. In fact, he appoints all those ones. So, how do you expect to have a level playing field?
It is most troubling that in 2 years in office, the present government has brought our nation to the point where our leaders now celebrate and endorse failure, lies, and propaganda. The government today, rather than show genuine accountability and measurable progress, focuses on manipulating the narratives, gaslighting the public, shifting blame, and weaponizing governance.
Just some excerpts, from the presidential speech, and of course some of the earlier reactions coming from top opposition figures in Nigeria. I'm sure you must have watched, the entire broadcast, if you like, or the entire address by Mr. President. First, let me get your impression. Is it inspiring?
Yes, thank you, Shafi'u. And to be very, very candid, there were aspects of that address that precipitated optimism. Okay. Optimism in the sense that if the president in their address has used the opportunity to recognize some of the injustices of the past, the posthumous conferment of national honor on Ken Saro-Wiwa,
and the pardon. There was also
the pardon. These are deep-seated historic injustices that the
Ogoni Nine,
the whole situation with the Nigerian state at the time, which repressed people who were trying to express their dissent and express the fact that, things were not going right in their communities.
Right.
And so in that broad spectrum of how the president has used the, power of pardon and of course the power to confer, national honors to take a first step. This is just a first step in trying to placate those people, trying to, put a balm on their wounds. I think that is...
Even though quite a number of them are now lit.
Exactly. But that is commendable. That is commendable because we should not throw away the baby with the bathwater. But of course, there's the other aspect where the president, more or less, whether he put on the gloves or he took off the gloves, I'm not so sure now, where he basically was coming for the opposition. And in essence saying that the whole hue and cry about a one-party state is not founded on reality. But of course, in political thinking, there's the rhetoric of it. There's how you also use political rhetoric as a basis for contestation of ideas within the polity. So that is on one end. On the other end is the practical reality of a president who is in alliance with a prominent figure in what is supposed to be the political opposition. And many people would argue that that in itself, whether you call it politics, bipartisanship or anything, would undermine the opposition in a way that the opposition is not able to stabilize and face up to the task of holding the party in power accountable. But for me, this is political calculus. This is political. It's like a contact sport. You cannot make omelets without breaking eggs. So the president has basically thrown the gauntlet to the opposition in the sense of saying, get your acts together, get your acts right, and then challenge me.
Specifically mentioned that I can't help you put your house in order.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I would rather see you go in this area.
Absolutely. Because it is politically, if you look at it, it is to the president's advantage if the opposition, even though we in the civic space and the civil society, we want to see a virile opposition, an opposition that is driven by ideas, an opposition that is cohesive, an opposition that can match the party in power, idea for idea, discussion for discussion, not an opposition that is so sleepy and it's as if it's in a state of slumber. And the very disappointing thing is that the 2023 general elections produced a very diverse National Assembly, for example. The opposition, you have a number of opposition. I mean, you ask yourself, where is the Labour Party opposition in National Assembly? Where is the PDP opposition in National Assembly? So the president has been able to get away with so much in terms of his agenda, and he has seen no pushback at all. So he's more or less in a position where he's bold enough to say, well, it's up to you guys. If you want to come into the ring and slug it out with me for power, then, of course, I'm also ready for you. So that was basically what I saw in the president's conversation.
But he has been accused, and his party of orchestrating some of those crises, within the PDP and, of course, the Labour Party. And to some extent, people are citing example with what is happening. You mentioned earlier, one of the key figures in the PDP, happens to be with the government, talking about the FCT minister, and largely also people attribute the crisis to him. So in a way, people see him as an agent of destabilization within the party. At the same time, people in the Labour Party are also accusing the president of meddling into the affairs of the party surreptitiously. The presidential candidate of the party just yesterday or so re-echoed that. He said the government has a hand in the crisis in the Labour Party. So, but here is Mr. President telling everyone that all of those, that people are saying is just a panic alarm. So how do we reconcile the issues here?
Yeah, so how we reconcile it is basically understand politicians for what they are, and then understand the nature and the character of politics. So in politics, I can say that denial is not proof that you are not really engaging in the act. But of course, the president is basically deploying a strategy whereby the opposition is not so strong ab initio to effectively challenge him for power in a political context. So the ultimate duty is for the opposition. I can't, Shafi, I can't come to your house now and then I am undermining you right in your house, maybe using somebody in your house to undermine you. And then all you can do is just to complain about the fact that, oh, Armsfree is undermining me in my house. No, you would
do the needful.
Yeah, look for the tactics, look for the strategy. And even one of the narrative I expected from the PDP, I'm not in any political party, even though I'm politically conscious. I'm not in any political party, but one of the narratives I expected from the PDP is for the PDP to promote that narrative that even one of your, in quotes, best performing stars is from the PDP. And the person in question has not even said that, you know, he has fully moved.
Even though he's on the way. I understand, you know, with the invitation,
the president
open
gave
invitation
him
yesterday.
A blank.
There's likelihood any moment from now.
Exactly. So if the PDP does not have the balls, or the leaders of the PDP do not have the balls to be able to, you know, find a way to address somebody who puts one leg in, you know, your party, put one leg in the ruling party, and then he's still calling the shots and still, you know, running the party in a sense, then
even ultimately that no one can kick him out of the party.
Exactly. So ultimately, the president is basically doing what any normal politician would do. Try to pave the way for himself, and if the opposition is weak to him, it gives him a free run to 2027. And how I believe the opposition should react is to get its acts together, get it robustly challenge, because even the president says it. He says power is not served a la carte in a restaurant.
That's right.
So the opposition should now understand it, that they will not just have a blank check in terms of the possibility of reclaiming power. They have to come together, put in place the tactics, put in place the strategies to be able to get back into reckoning.
Right, okay. You're still buttressing this fact, you know, Mr. President was trying to draw some, use some historical perspective to show that he is one man that believes in opposition. And of course, he was the last man standing, you know, during his time as governor. He said, you know, he was about the only governor that stood in opposition to the president then, and then, you know, he get away with it because of the fact that he believes in that open space, you know, for contestation, just like he said. He also called for tolerance, you know, the need to tolerate criticisms, you know, free speech and all of that. But if we look at this and look at the current realities, you know, especially the civic space, quite a number of issues around stifling opposition voices, stifling dissenting voices and all of that. Is Mr. President also trying to play, you know, politics here? Or do you agree that he is actually promoting, you know, or opening the space?